The moment didn't look important to anyone else. The studio lights were already dimming. Audience members were filing out with phones in their hands. And Steve Harvey was doing what he had done thousands of times before, smiling, signing programs, taking quick photos, offering a kind word before moving on to the next person. It was routine, almost automatic, until he felt a light touch on his arm. Not a grab, not a demand, just a gentle, trembling touch, as if the person was afraid he might disappear if she pressed too hard. When he turned, he saw an elderly woman standing close, her posture careful, her eyes filled with something heavier than excitement. She leaned in and spoke softly, almost like a confession. She told him she had waited 60 years to say what she was about to say out loud. Those words stopped him completely. Not because of what she said, but because of how she said it. There was relief in her voice, and fear, and the ache of time passing without mercy. Steve felt it instantly. This wasn't a fan moment. This was a life moment. He guided her away from the noise toward the quiet edge of the stage, where the lights no longer blinded and the crowd faded into a hum. That was where her story finally began to breathe. Her name was Eleanor Brooks, and she was 78 years old. She had dressed carefully that morning, choosing a floral dress she hadn't worn in years and a pearl necklace that had followed her through decades of birthdays, holidays, and quiet sacrifices. She had driven hours to be there, hands gripping the steering wheel the entire way, practicing sentences she wasn't sure she would ever say. Standing in front of Steve now, she felt her chest tighten the way it had when she was young and fearless, and believed her voice could carry her anywhere. She told him that singing had once been her whole world. As a girl, she sang everywhere, in church, at school, in her bedroom when no one was watching. People used to stop and listen. Teachers told her she had something special. For a while, she believed them. Then life arrived, as it so often does, dressed as responsibility. She married young, at a time when dreams for women were supposed to fit neatly behind someone else's expectations. Her husband didn't forbid her outright. He simply dismissed the idea, called it unrealistic, inappropriate, unnecessary. And because she loved him, because she wanted peace, because she was taught that compromise meant silence, she folded that dream up and put it away. Years turned into decades. She sang only when she was alone. Her voice softened, so it wouldn't be heard. She became a wife, then a mother, pouring her creativity into raising her children, encouraging them to chase passions she herself had abandoned. She watched them grow into artists and dreamers, proud and aching at the same time. When her husband passed away after more than half a century together, grief came tangled with something she didn't expect: freedom, and guilt for feeling it. For the first time since she was 19, her life belonged only to her, and that terrified her. She told Steve that she kept asking herself the same question every morning. Was it too late? Had she waited so long that the dream no longer counted? Steve listened without interrupting, his own throat tight. He had met countless people chasing success, but rarely someone mourning a life unlived. When she finished, there was silence between them, heavy but honest. Then Steve spoke, slowly, deliberately, as if every word mattered. He told her that dreams don't age the way bodies do. That wanting something at 78 is just as real as wanting it at 18. He asked her a question that cut through everything else. Not whether she had wanted to sing once, but whether she still wanted to sing now. Her answer came without hesitation. Yes. Every day. Something shifted in that moment. Steve didn't offer sympathy. He offered action. He told her she wouldn't leave that studio without a next step. He invited her back, asked her to sing on the show, not as a novelty, but as a statement. She was terrified. She doubted her voice, her strength, her courage. He didn't. Over the next week, she practiced until her hands shook. She chose a song that carried the weight of her life, a song about waiting and finally arriving. When she walked onto that stage days later, her legs felt weak, her heart louder than the music. For a moment, she forgot everything. Then she opened her mouth, and the sound that came out wasn't fragile. It was rich, powerful, alive. 60 years of silence poured into every note. The audience rose before the song even ended. People cried openly. Steve stood backstage with tears streaming down his face. Her children watched their mother become whole in front of them. That performance changed everything. The video spread faster than anyone expected. Millions watched. Messages poured in from people who had given up on their own dreams. Invitations followed, interviews. A record deal she never imagined. She didn't become famous in the way people chase, but she became heard. And that was enough. Today, Eleanor says the greatest gift wasn't the applause or the opportunities. It was the moment she stopped waiting for permission. Her story isn't about singing. It's about courage, arriving late and still being right on time. If this story stirred something in you, don't ignore it. Somewhere inside you is a dream that hasn't expired.